Hola, buenas tardes, good afternoon. Today we are on the 6th of November at 1 o'clock. And as we did advert, we're gonna start today with making a webinar regarding buying and selling property in Spain. We're gonna focus with different areas in the Costa Blanca area and the North area. And also we will focus, of course, in the area of Costa Blanca, the city of Costa Blanca, which is Alicante. And also we will follow also probably the south. And today we have a special guest. I mean, we have invited two companies. One of them is going to focus on property market. We're going to be talking about recommendations on buying and selling. And of course, we'll be showed the company and product and properties that they may offer. And also we will speak about something really important now about the exchange rate. I mean, it's going to follow us a currency direct in order to speak about which are the recommendations whenever you want to make some exchange on money. I mean, from euros to pounds or from any of the coin. Okay, well, let's introduce the companies. For the property market is a special guest is 𝐞𝐵. He is representing the state agent 𝐶𝐻𝐿TE. Hello, 𝐞𝐵.
Hi, Pedro. How are you?
Okay. How are you doing?
Very well, thank you.
Okay, and he will be able, of course, to show and introduce the company and explain us how is which is important right now, which is the situation about the COVID, about which is important to buy or sell, what recommendations will be. And also he's joining us. Also, a special guest is Karen Clemens from Currency Direct, and she's based in Heredia, in the Costa Blanca North. That's a spectacular area of the Costa Blanca. Hello, Karen.
Hi, Pedro.
How are you doing?
Good, thank you.
Okay, and also Karen will be able to show us, and we will follow through our PowerPoint in order to show us and explain us how does it works, this complex about exchange rate and how to get benefits on that. Also is joining us Ignacio Pellicer. I mean, you know Ignacio from all these webinars that we've done in the last months. He's an expert lawyer, an expert barrister, also litigation, where he deals with property, international law, and many of the issues like taxes, immigrations. Hello, Ignacio. Buenas tardes.
Hello, Pedro. Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
And also is joining us Elena Morissette. She works in the law firm of Pellicer Heredia, supporting international clients in order to approach them and help them in the process of buying and selling properties. Hello, Elena.
Hello, Pedro. Good afternoon.
And I'm not sure if Michael is right now joining us, but of course, whenever he joined, here is Michael. I can see him right now. Hello, Michael. Buenas tardes. I'm not sure if he's listening to me.
The microphone is not working.
Well, Michael is joining us. Michael Davies is an expert lawyer, barrister. His law firm is in Andalusia, in the area of Almería and Marbella. And he deals with property, but also with litigation and regarding property and international law on wills, on inheritance. And he will be able to give us also, of course, an update about the situation about buying, selling. Ignacio and Michael will be talking about what recommendation on the legal point of view are important to take into account whenever someone is buying a property. Okay, well, 𝐞𝐵, let's start with you, of course. I mean, please give us an introduction about your company, about what is the territory that you where you work, please.
Yep. Of course, I do own the franchisee of 𝐶𝐻𝐿TE here in Alicante and Costa Blanca. So my main territory here on the Alicante area. And the 𝐶𝐻𝐿TE was founded in 2016 in 6 offices. Most of them are located down in Costa del Sol. So me and my former partner decided to open up here in Alicante in 2019. So since then, we are located here in the city center of Alicante.
Okay, I'm gonna share your web page. I'm sure that maybe you can see it here. I mean, so the office is in Alicante City, is in the headquarters of Costa Blanca.
Exactly.
And what kind of properties do you work in main Alicante City, or also through all the Costa Blanca?
We actually work throughout the whole Costa Blanca. We are focusing on those areas where mostly international buyers, and our main focus are on the Scandinavian markets. So we have down in Costa Blanca South, the city center of Alicante, Playa San Juan, and also more and more people from the Scandinavian regions are interested in buying properties from 𝐿 and even up to Denia, 𝐿𝐵𝐴, Altea. So we're trying to find out those areas where we expect the Scandinavian market to be more interested in. So that's how we work. If a client tells us what they are looking for, we are trying to find the right area and present good properties for them in those areas that we think can match their wish list.
Okay, and regarding the situation that we have right now because of the COVID, I assume the Alicante airport is open, but it's not coming many tourists right now. How is are the demand of buying properties in Spain is increasing, has been decreased? People is waiting for being able to come to Spain and see the properties personally?
Yeah. Of course, we have noticed a bit of decrease of people coming here. Like you said, the airport is not operating as it should. And some countries are not even allowed to come into the country due to their own quarantine rule when they return back home. But we still have interest, and we noticed that people that are familiar with the area since before do still want to buy properties. So even though they can't come, we offer them digital viewing, so we can show them the property and go through everything with them throughout a time call or whatever they desire. So there really are still interest, and we try to help them in the good possible way. And right now, for many of them, it is to do it digital.
Okay. And when someone wants to buy a property and is looking for properties through your estate agent, what are recommendations? What are the questions that they normally do? What is your recommendation whenever they decide to look for a property? I understand that some people have different needs, family, relocation, or maybe someone is investing just to rent or just to have a holiday home. But what normally are the recommendations in order to buy a property, in this case in Alicante, Costa Blanca?
Like you said, we do get different kind of clients. Some of them are just interested of buying something to rent out. And then we recommend them areas where you're still allowed to rent out properties and find them good offers. And when it comes to holiday homes, we usually tend to ask them to precise more or less what needs and desires they have. If they are familiar with the area, maybe they have their own favorite area already. Otherwise, I try to find them the area that match their needs. So we tend to ask them to precise their budget, their needs, and as much that makes it better for them, so we can find the right match.
Okay, perfect. I understand that many of your clients also is, apart from the information about properties, also they are asking many other things like, what about residency? What about taxes? And what about, at the end, how it works, legal system in most of the cases in Spain. Is that right?
Of course, a lot of people are not familiar with the system you use here in Spain, or we use here in Spain. Especially the clients I have that comes from Sweden is not familiar with the way the business are done here. Even though when we try to explain to them, it's quite similar. And we also a legal officer or legal paralegal, and we used to have Helena as help for the Swedish clients. So we of course recommend everyone to get the right person to explain to them, because I'm not an expert in tax law, I'm not an expert in the law firm, what you do, but I know more or less, and I can recommend it.
Okay, one more question before we introduce the video of Costa Blanca, Gustav. So you work in the area of Costa Blanca, but mainly you said in what areas?
Mainly focused on Torrevieja area or La Costa, up to Alicante city center,
Up to Alicante city center.
located, and more even up to Denia. We're looking for properties.
Okay, well, thank you, Gustav. So, well, let's introduce the video of Costa Blanca, the latest video in English. Let's join this spectacular video made by the official institutions.
Maybe because I was born on the Mediterranean, I feel so connected to this sea, to this land, to this light. Because the Costa Blanca is my passion, it's my life, it's who I am. It defines me as a person and sets me apart from the rest. Yes, it's important not to forget who we are and where we come from. That helps us understand the meaning of our lives. By this sea I was born and grew up, laughed and cried too, the emotions of life. Our land is health and well-being, the joy of living, in our own way, in our own style, authentic. That's why so many artists come to the Costa Blanca looking for inspiration, to capture the essence, that light that defines our character. And not just artists. So many people come here and stay. The sky, the landscape, the rosy sunsets, the warm sand under your feet, the sea breeze on your skin, the mountains, and seeing the sea from the heights. I love to close my eyes, take a deep breath, and feel the sun on my eyelids. As if the light was inside me. I can't explain it. As my grandmother used to say, life is full of inexplicable things. You have to live them, feel them. I had to live in other parts of the world to really value what we have here. I have everything I need. My future is here. I've learned to enjoy the little things, the little pleasures in life. And we know a lot about those. There's nothing more authentic than feeling happy in the place where you were born. And however hard I try, I can't explain it in words. Costa Blanca, authentically ours.
Okay, fantastic. I mean, I'm never bored about watching this video. It's spectacular and shows a lot pictures of the Costa Blanca area. And one of the areas that I really love also in Alicante, in Costa Blanca, is Costa Blanca North, where is based Karen. As I already introduced, Karen Clemens, she works in Currency Direct, and she is going to give us some tips and recommendations about exchange rate and how does it works and how can she help clients in the future to exchange money in order to get a better rate in the future. Hello, Karen.
Hi, Pedro.
I'm sure that you've seen this video. I'm not sure, but probably some pictures are in the area of Costa Blanca North that you may have been there, yeah?
Beautiful, really beautiful. Yeah.
Okay, well, Karen, just please give us an introduction of your company and how can you help clients in order to to get a better rate. You know, it's important to get a better rate in order to get more money really on exchange.
Absolutely. So Currencies Direct have been in business for over 20 years. We have a head office which is based in Canary Wharf, and we have 20 offices worldwide, including 16 offices in Spain. So I cover the areas of Javier and Moreira, and we also have a new office in Albia. So as I say, we trade over 40 currencies. We have a big Scandinavian department, and obviously we help a lot of the clients buying and selling, mainly at the moment, the UK clients. So we offer bank beating exchange rates. There are no transfer charges. And obviously it's very important at the moment with expert guidance and market analysis, because the rates have been so volatile really since the Brexit was announced. 2016, the rate was 142 sterling to euro. And over the last 4 years, and at the moment, it's sort of around about the 110. There's a lot of things going on at the moment with the obviously the Brexit situation, America.
Exactly.
And the COVID has obviously had a huge effect on the rate,
exactly.
which is obviously making it sort of quite volatile.
Okay. I have a PowerPoint from you, which I'm going to share it. If okay, here we have. Okay, and so you really need, for example, when someone is buying a property and is bringing money from, maybe say from UK or from Sweden, as you said about the Scandinavian, how do you help them? How is this process goes? I mean, you contact them or they contact you, and what is the next step?
So it's very easy to open a trading account with us. And this enables people to have direct contact with a senior trader who can work out the time scale of when they need to move the money. And our aim is to always get the target rate, the best rate for the clients. So we have facilities in place, a rate watching facility, forward locking rates. We keep all of our client funds, as it says on the screen, in a client segregated account. So the funds are fully secure. And we have what's called a virtual wallet. Clients can transfer funds. As I say, we endeavour to get the best target rate. There are no transfer charges. And particularly it's interesting, we have a facility for people that are selling. They will get a banker's draft at the notary, and we're the only foreign exchange company that has the facility to bank the draft for free. And if they banked it in their own client account, their own bank account, they would be charged between 0.3% and 0.5% just to deposit the banker's draft. We also
Yes, go on, please.
We also have that facility in our offices, which just came fortunately around when the sort of COVID time hit. So we actually have the banking system within our office, so we can bank the drafts in our office for free, which means we don't need to go to the bank as well. So. Okay, and
what are the benefits in case, for example, if I compare that, which is the exchange rate I'm going to get from a normal bank, let's say Banco Sabadell or CaixaBank or Santander, but if I do it with you, what am I going to get? I mean, I'm going to get better rate, and because the normal banks, they charge a lot more commissions and a lot more costs. Is that right?
Yes, absolutely. And the other important thing to remember is that we work off a live rate. The rate moves every 5 seconds, whereas the banks set their rate first thing in the morning, and it's the same rate throughout the day. They also have transfer charges. They'll be sending charges and receiving charges through the bank, where there are no charges with us. So in the truth of it is, if you were doing it through the bank, you'd be sending funds. You wouldn't really know how much you're going to receive at the other end because there are so many hidden charges. Our service is very transparent. There are no transfer charges. We work off a live rate. So people that are buying and selling, obviously they're moving large amounts of money. So they would be talking to senior traders all the time. And the rate that you're given and the end amount that you'll be getting is exactly what you'll see in your recipient bank account.
Okay, we're watching in the PowerPoint about the Brexit and the story about what has been the exchange rate during the Brexit. What do you think? What would you recommend to, especially to the British, because of the sterling pounds? What would you recommend to do in the following months before this 31st of December? What do you think is going to happen? What would be really the recommendations if someone is buying or selling?
I mean, if there is a Brexit deal, potentially the pound is going to strengthen, which is fantastic for people that are buying. And if there's a no deal, the pound will remain weak, which will be great for people that are selling. So it's really important that people are selling, for example, and they get their 10%. They can use this to forward lock a rate in. And equally, if people are buying and they have the funds available, they'll be talking to senior traders, and we can advise them, to move the money at the right time. As I say, it's just something that once they've opened a trading account, they will get the expert guidance throughout this sort of period of time.
Okay. I'm just putting this PowerPoint in order just to see the latest. You see the key dates to watch out for. As you said, in the 31st of December 2020 is the cliff edge, as you said about the deal. Right now, what will you, I mean, you said the recommendations to client. I mean, how do they contact you? The web page, or do you have like a telephone number? How do they contact you?
Well, we obviously have a web page. We have many offices. So anybody that needs any advice, and it's also to do with people that are looking at getting the residency. Once they open a trading account with us, they'll use it for the lifetime. So whether it's moving £100 or euros or 100,000 or 1 million, they'll use us the whole time. Once they've opened the account, then they can register online. They can call us a UK telephone number, which is on the website, or a Spanish telephone number, and then we can get the account open. We can do it over the phone. They can register online. Once the trading account's open, it's there for their use for the lifetime of their requirements.
Okay, so thank you. Perfect. So what I understood is, of course, about all the recommendations. Let's hope that there is a deal, so the pound will be positive and strong.
Exactly.
And that will, of course, that will be helping, of course, the property market, and will help also about to clients that are selling, and of course the ones who are buying. Okay, and well, let's go focus. Thank you, Karen. Thank you very much. Even though we will be speaking right now after the legal aspects that's going to be explained by Michael and Ignacio, we will make a colloquial in order to and a chat in order to speak about any questions that we may receive. Thank you, Karen.
Thank you.
Okay, now let's introduce the video of buying a property in Spain by the law firm Pellicer Heredia, and in order to start talking about legal aspects on buying a property in Spain.
You're new to Spain and in need of legal help. When you're in a country that is foreign to you, you want someone who speaks your language, who understands you, and who will have an answer to all immigration and nationality matters. At Pellicer and Heredia, you can count on a specialist in international law and a multidisciplinary team that can help you handle all the necessary formalities. Do you want to take advantage of the Golden Visa program? We will help you obtain the residence visa for investors through the purchase of a property or via a business project that you're looking to develop in Spain. Do you need a residence permit? Obtain it for non-profit purposes or through family, work, study, research and training purposes. If, on the other hand, what you are looking for is a renewal, we take care of the whole process, so all you need to do is leave your fingerprint. We also deal with re-entry permits in the case that you want to leave and return to Spain. And of course, we help you obtain the certificate of registration as a European citizen, the foreigner's identity number, Spanish citizenship, and the certified translation of documents in all languages. Because at Pellicer and Heredia, we know that speaking your language is the only way to gain your confidence. Trust that we repay with 2 words: professionalism and commitment. Pellicer and Heredia, international lawyers.
Okay, thank you for the video. And the introduction in order to start, of course, about property is when someone starts viewing properties and then decide to buy a property. Normally it is offered to make a reservation, a small amount of, let's say, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, sometimes more, to make a reservation on the property, to pull the property out of the market. And from that point, normally is contacted lawyers. Let's start with Michael. Michael from Davies Solicitor. Once a client has decided to buy a property, even though sometimes it's before they decided to contact you, what next? What happens next? They contact you and they tell you, we have decided to buy a property in Spain. Can you follow us to representing us to buy a property? What do you start?
Okay, well, sometimes, good afternoon, everyone. Sometimes their clients have contacted us before they've actually chosen the property, and they've already left a power of attorney with us. And we've given them an idea of the expenses, etc. Otherwise, they come over to Spain, they look at a few properties, but they decide to make some offers on some of them. They go back to the UK, and before they go, they leave the power of attorney in place. Of course, not always. So what we always say is to only actually, the client only retains us the moment they've actually agreed the price. We never get involved in our case in the negotiation of the price. Once they've agreed to the budget, we ask for a retainer, and we start moving forward. And as you say, normally the estate agent will ask for typically a €3,000 reservation, at least in here in Andalusia. Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Normally we'll ask for a €3,000 reservation, which is refundable if later on the legals aren't correct. With that, they would normally send us all the information, copy the title deeds, all the normal things, for us to do the basic searches. And with that, we move towards a 10% deposit contract. For the 10% deposit contract, we don't actually need the power of attorney. So even if the client's in the UK, we can do it all by email. Or if we've already got the power of attorney, then we just use that for signing. What we do is between the deposit contract and the completion is when we need to organise the powers of attorney. We haven't got them, so we haven't got them yet. We'd simply send them over to the UK. They'd send an international power of attorney. We send it in 2 columns. They sign in front of a notary, have the Hague's Apostle affixed, and send it back to us. With that power of attorney, we'd normally open up the bank account for them to start sending the funds out to Spain, either directly or via our currency companies like Currencies Direct, which many of our clients use. And between the deposit contract and the completion is when we'd also request their Spanish NIE numbers. At least here in Andalusia, we need to have a document to show why we need them. So we normally use the deposit contract to organise them. The NIE numbers in Andalusia at the moment are taking about 3 weeks, so that's not a problem. And then we set the completion date. The contract will have a no later than completion date. We fine tune all the searches. And on the day of completion, normally in our case, we do it by power of attorney, even though exceptionally the odd client could decide to come along to the signing. At the day of the signing, normally completion is done by a banker's draft, drawn on the Spanish bank. Even though it's on the Spanish bank, the money could have come through originally from a currency company to the Spanish bank. And that's it. Then it takes about a month and a half to process the deeds after the signing. Obviously, there's a lot more detail to this. But,
yeah, I understand. Yeah, well, it's been very summarized. I mean, I like
the whole hour.
Yeah, it's been very summarized, and I can see following the steps perfectly about reservation, the private contract, or DA completion, and well, thank you, Michael. I mean, I think it's very summarized. And Ignacio, have you had Michael, of course, all the steps that has been followed in order to, as a recommendation to buy a property in Spain, and it is extremely important to follow those steps and do it with a lawyer, with an independent lawyer. Is that right?
That's correct, Pedro. Yeah, Michael's advice is excellent because you always need to choose an independent lawyer. We insist on, as Michael said, when they just put the money down, we normally recommend just to appoint the lawyer before putting any money down. But sometimes you get into a situation where you need to make a reservation to put it off the market. So you put down a small one, and as Michael stated, refundable in case any legal complexity or complications. Okay, it's important to identify whether off-plan property or a resale property. You need to be a bit more careful with an off-plan property, just to have your peace of mind that your money is protected. Especially always ask for bank guarantees. And as you stated before, if you have a resale property, you will pay in normal cases 10% and the rest on completion. You will find all type of issues depending whether it's urban land or rustic land. I'm sure Michael, yourself, or myself, we just did go through a lot of situations where it seems sometimes a little bit of fiction when you find problems. Actually, I've been handling recently, today I was in the notary office and I even noticed a different transaction that even the final buyer never got it in his name. And obviously it's because they never used a lawyer to start with. They sold the property, rustic land. You can imagine, Michael and Pedro, all sorts of issues with the rustic land. It did go through from one person to the other. It can be sorted. Now they just appoint us to represent. But what I want to bring up and make sure that people understand, it is important for them and Michael stated, more important than before, to appoint a lawyer, to trust the lawyer, to do all the due diligence by the book, and then just forget about any problems. And that's what I really insist on people doing things properly. Buying a property in Spain is very safe, but obviously, Pedro, you need to do things right and correctly. Otherwise, you're going to end up into a battle that you don't really need it.
Okay, well, thank you, Ignacio. And Elena, I know that you had experience, of course, in order to come to Spain, and about the property market, about, of course, the knowledge of many people has bought properties in Spain. What would be your recommendations from a legal point of view and also from a personal point of view when someone comes to Spain and feels like buying a property in Spain?
Well, I relocated with my family around 5 years ago to Spain. And for me, it's been important since day one to have a good connection with a lawyer that can help you explain everything and help you through the process of what you need and what your obligations are and what your rights are and everything like this. And I've also purchased houses, and you need a lawyer to help you through all the fine prints and everything. And that's why I'm there. My job is to help clients when they want to buy a property and help the process go smoothly and be your connection between the buyer and also the law firm, and help with every other little thing that you need, like open a bank account, get the NIE number, and all those details that are necessary in order to complete the purchase.
Okay, well, thank you, Elena. Thank you. And well, as all of you have been saying, and Michael and Ignacio, it's been there are some difference. Let's put some tips in order to. I mean, someone is buying a resale or is buying a new property, and there are some different due diligence that needs to be done. Is that right, Michael?
Absolutely. Buying a property off plan, as Ignacio has said, is a bit more complex. But the key to everything, in other words, apart from all the normal things to check everything out, to see, do the searches to make sure the land belongs to the builder, he's got his building licenses, etc., etc. There's one thing that's more important than anything else, and that is the bank guarantees. In other words, a builder has got an obligation in issuing bank guarantees on all the stage payments. All the problems that we've heard of in the past of people that lost their money on the last property, when the property market sunk the last time, it was all simply because people had not asked for the bank guarantees that they were entitled to. It's as simple as that. They were entitled to demand bank guarantees each time they made a stage payment. For those clients that had the bank guarantees in place, they all received their money back without any problem. When the last crash came through our offices, we may have had maybe 30 or 40 purchases under construction, with about 10 or 12 that got into trouble, the builders, and we just cashed in on the bank guarantees. It really is as simple as that. Then Ignacio and me together have handled many court cases against builders and banks in relation to bank guarantees, stage payments that were paid without bank guarantees, or with bank guarantees that were not in the correct, they weren't issued correctly. So it all boils down at the end of the day to hiring a good lawyer. And the way to find a good lawyer, you can go to the British Consulate, the lawyers recommended by the British Consulate, or you can sort of ask around for a solicitor's experience, or come directly to Ignacio in Alicante or to us in Andalusia. But that's the key, because regardless of the detail, if you use a decent lawyer, they will make sure that those bank guarantees are in place on a property under construction.
Okay, well, thank you, Michael. And Ignacio, what exactly, this is different. Let's talk about that resale at this point, Ignacio. What are the mostly due diligence that needs to be done if we compare it with the new properties when it's a must to apply and require bank guarantee?
Right. As Mike stated, it's important always to do the due diligence. On the resale, you don't need to think it will necessarily be easier than an off-plan. As I said, it really depends on the specific situation. It's not the same to buy a property in a flat in an urban place with different specific situation. For example, you will need to check the communities, what the people here say, SUMA, or the rates, water, electric, etc., etc. But sometimes you could even, when you do the search on the property, you might be surprised about the problems, canceling the mortgage. Nowadays, we didn't discuss about this, but now setting up a mortgage, even opening a bank account, Michael, I don't know whether in Andalusia, probably you have the same problem that we do. Opening a bank account is becoming more difficult over and over. Setting up a mortgage, now you need to go 2 times. You need to, even canceling the solicitor who's representing the buyer normally will represent canceling the mortgage before completion. And as I said, Pedro, if you go into England, that I'm sure Michael and Andalusia had the same issues, so you end up buying a piece of land, probably even building your own property or refurbishing the existing one, with all these issues that you need to check. Is just not only the license, the square meters of the land, the square meters of the property, even on a resale, you know, whether you've got enough meters on that land registry certificate or not, whether Catastro, which is a tax office, planned or map of the properties in Spain are accurate. So there are a lot of issues for you to check, and things are nowadays much more connected, but there is a lot of due diligence, Pedro, you need to do for peace of mind to make everything correct. So so my recommendation always is try, as Michael said, try to use a good lawyer who's independent, who will tell you, you've got this problem, this is the solution, or and then you just budget yourself. Once you know the problems when you buy a property, how much you need to put it right, if you still want to buy that property, whether that money comes from the seller, whether you're prepared to face that problem, like example, re-registering or registering the extra meters or whatever. So Pedro, yes, things are important to be checked. Due diligence are very important, as, for example, if it's front sea on the lane, on the first lane of the coast, you might have issues. Some people might have very close to the train or the roads. You know, there are a lot of checks that you need to make sure that that is important for them to be aware, and that's important for them to make the right decision. I always say buying a property costs a lot of money. Sometimes you will hear you don't need a lawyer. This is a typical comment that in the old days they used to say, people don't use a lawyer because it costs you money. No, it will cost you much more money to lose a lot of things, like your property or having problems or going even through the courts, because we've been dealing with court cases more and more because things were not done right. So I think always using good lawyers is peace of mind, is good, it saves you money, it gives you the advice, as Helena said, about the tax planning or even the immigration. And I think people are becoming more and more comfortable on choosing that. People straight away going to an agent and they choose their own independent lawyer. And I'm very grateful about that, because that was the message from a lot of good lawyers like Michael and yourself. And people now are really conscious of this situation, and it's good for everybody at the end of the day, Pedro.
Okay, well, thank you, Ignacio. And well, one question, Michael and Ignacio, both of you, is when someone's buying a property, it's always, as has been said by Elena, it's important to before or after, I mean, just to start with it about taxes, about the declaration, what is my worldwide income. But one of the questions is always made. It's about a will. I mean, it is recommended to make a will if I invest in a property. What if I'm resident in Spain or non-resident in Spain? It is necessary to make a will. And it's a question that, of course, Davies, Michael Davies in Andalusia, and we in Alicante and Costa Blanca, we deal with that. And I would like to know your opinion. Let's start with Michael, please.
Okay. Well, obviously, this is my it's a bit sad, but inheritance cases are one of our favourite ones, especially if they get very complicated, because we've been doing it for many years. And it's the inheritance, the probate and the inheritance-related litigation is what I actually take care of in our offices. So without any doubt, if you buy a property in Spain, you should make a Spanish will in reference to your Spanish assets. There are all sorts of reasons for this, but there's one very simple one, and that is that it's much cheaper, much more straightforward to go to probate on a Spanish will to deal with Spanish assets than to have to go to probate after the will in the UK has gone to probate over there, and then you can validate it. You can find all sorts of really complicated situations that derive from having to wind up a Spanish estate based on English inheritance. I'd like to take the opportunity to sell Andalusia a little bit here. Andalusia, for the last 3 years now, we've had one of the most beneficial inheritance tax systems in Spain, together with the autonomous region of Madrid. Years ago, I remember that we had a lot of clients, especially well-off clients in Marbella, that would end up moving up to your area, up in Moreira and Calpin. I think we've even recommended lawyers for conveyancing with you up there, because they wanted to live up there at the moment of their death because of the inheritance tax being more favourable. Luckily for us, the tables have turned. The situation up in the Valencia region is not bad. It's not bad. It's still better than what it used to be in Andalusia. But now in Andalusia, for children and spouse, we have a fantastic deal, because the first €1 million is exempt, and then we have a 99% deduction after that, which basically means that children and spouse in Andalusia basically don't pay any inheritance tax. So it's a big selling point. We've really seen, especially in wealthy clients, that sort of do look into all this before they decide where to retire to. We've seen a lot of clients come on the back of this inheritance tax situation. And basically, going back to the basics, without any doubt, a will is a must. In fact, if clients look around on the internet, they can see that this is there's an absolute consensus on this. All solicitors in Spain recommend making a Spanish will. And in our case, for example, I presume you do a similar thing. When we issue a budget for a conveyance in Spain, we automatically recommend a will and tell them how much it will cost, because we normally just do it at the same time as the title deed.
Okay, good. Thank you, Michael. We know, even though that you love Costa Blanca, so as well, also we love
I love
the area,
Costa
which is
Blanca.
fantastic. But it's a good point what you said. I mean, of course, it's important that clients prevent or planify before they invest, before they come. I mean, what is going to be my worldwide taxes to declare in Spain? What will be my inheritance? I mean, what is if it's a wealth tax? What if I need a will? I mean, all these things needs to be checked by a client whenever they start or investing, being resident or not resident in Spain. Ignacio, I mean, I assume that, of course, a recommendation of a will, and you always recommend also, as Michael said, about making a will in a Spanish territory for the Spanish assets.
Yeah, actually, I'm proud of working with you both guys, and you always recommend that as well in the past. Making a will is always very, very good advice, and particularly because now we are dealing cases with clients or even all clients who never wanted or end up doing a will, and then you don't even know what kind of paperwork nightmare you might end up with. Making a will in Spain is simple, straightforward, and I always recommend do one. And if you want to change it, you always have time to change it, but at least have one to protect your assets in Spain. A lot of people have worked very hard to get it, and then you don't need, or the beneficiaries, your loved one, don't need all the stress and hassle. So I really think it's important to make a will. Important at least to have one. And Pedro and Michael, yes, Michael had a great point here. I'm actually probably thinking about moving, Michael, but I think it's important to know. People say there is nothing certain as taxes and death, you know. But I think even taxes sometimes are certain, because as Michael said, we used to have a great deal on inheritance tax on 99%, and that was excellent. But now, unfortunately, they change it. I remember even in Murcia regions having a 99% discount on that. And they changed after the credit crunch, they changed into no exemption at all. So it was weird, but passing away in Murcia was very, very expensive if you wanted to do and deal through the probate. Unfortunately, there is no guarantees of what is going to happen in the future. So here we go.
It could change again. It could change again. At the moment, we've got the good deal, but it could change. I have to.
That's right.
Absolutely true.
That's right.
Okay.
And well, thank you for that, Pedro. So over to you.
Okay, guys. But let's. I mean, we are running out of time, like always. And before I give you the last word to say and conclusion, let's answer some questions I'm watching the chat. Well, let's start with the first one with Sylvia. Thank you, Sylvia, for joining us and make this specific question. I don't know, Ignacio or Michael, you can read it. I will read it. Yes, she says that she wants to buy a house in Costa Blanca, but to know how to budget it, she needs to know how much she will need to pay on capital gains tax in Spain as resident. I'm not sure if in the chat says if she's resident now or she becomes resident, but so once she sells the property in UK, and she would like to know approximately how much taxes she will need to pay if the house was bought of 110,000 sterling pounds, and now will be selling on 230,000 sterling pound. It was bought in 2002. I assume that reading this, that she is resident. It looks like she's resident, and she's got a property in UK, but maybe she's not. I mean, Ignacio, what would you recommend to Sylvia? Oh, yes, well, she's resident.
Yeah, she's resident. Okay, if she's resident and she's Sylvia, well, thank you for your question. I will advise you to do tax planning, right? To give you the accurate answer to your question, because this is a complex question to just say straight away. Okay, but I could give you a rough idea. If you are resident in Spain and then you sell the property and you've been living in that property in the past for at least 3 years, and then you could sell it and reinvest it within 2 years, being exempt as long as you reinvest all the capital. Now the question will be, are you going to have any money left, or are you going to buy a property where you're going to reinvest all the money? That's one of the questions. So that's important. If you were to make some profit, the capital gain tax is 19, 21, and 23%. It's sliding scale. That goes from 6,000 to 6,000 euros, 19%, 6,000 to 50, 21, and 50,000 to extra, 23%. That's a fast answer for you. And with regards to the budget, Sylvia, I always recommend clients, depending whether they're going to ask for a mortgage or not, an average of 13% approx. If it's a mortgage, probably I could even say 14%, roughly. But it really varies on the price and a lot of things. So, Michael, will you recommend anything else here?
No, well, I was only going to ask you a question, but simply because I don't know the answer, and I was wondering whether perhaps you were lucky and you knew the answer. But this question is quite interesting because the exemption for reinvestment in another property of the same price or more within the 2 years, we know it works for residents selling in Spain. We know up to now it's worked for residents selling in the UK and buying over here. But do you think after Brexit, this is still going to be the same? Is Spain going to honour and say, well, you're resident here, you're selling in the UK? I suppose there's no reason for them not to, but I was just wondering if that could change in any way.
Well, actually, it's a good point what you bring, because after Brexit, it will be a non-European country, and it will be like the Americans selling their property over there. And reinvesting it here. I don't know if Pedro knows, but I couldn't answer that, Michael. I'll have to
I don't know.
Our accountant.
I know. Obviously, before, because you couldn't discriminate, members of the EU and all these things, so it was all very protected. But I haven't had the case of somebody selling in a third-party country and claiming the reinvestment in Spain and claiming that already being a resident. Of course, if this lady wasn't a resident already, she wouldn't have a problem. So we just say sell the property first and then become a resident. But it's a bit. I just don't know. That's why I think, as you said before, we can't take responsibility over an answer on something like this over a Zoom appointment, because it's actually more complex than it looks, and it needs to be.
That's right.
It needs to have a bit of time dedicated to it, I think.
Yeah, I would recommend Sylvia to organize a video conference with whoever she wish to do the consultation, even with us, if she wants to buy in Costa Blanca. And then we could be
Costa Blanca, yes.
Yeah, and we could just have in the appointment the accountant with exact figures, and she'll have the right answer. I always say this is very important, and it's good Sylvia's asking, because before making a decision, you need to know how much is going to be the total cost, instead of doing all these transactions and then you end out of budget.
Sorry, Ignacio, I just thought of a problem. See, this is why, look, if she says that she's already a resident in Spain, she is selling a property that she can no longer claim is her main home.
Oh, that's right, because it's in the UK. She
wouldn't be able to claim the reinvestment.
She's a resident in Spain, and she's got a property in the UK.
In this case, there's no investment. She already had a property in Spain. It looks like she's a resident in Spain, and that will be the second residency.
That's right.
I mean, of course,
there is no allowance.
And she wouldn't be allowed the exemption.
Exactly.
That's right. I agree.
Even though, I mean, I recommend you guys, Ignacio and Michael, if you could put in the chat your email address and webpage. And of course, Silvia, I invite you to contact, in this case, well, Ignacio or Michael. Even though you're buying in Costa Blanca, in order for them to give you an accurate advice. Okay, we are going to be run out of time. I'm just going to give you, all of you, just a brief words in order just to conclude what is your recommendations. Gustav, we are running out of time, of course. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for coming. And of course, we, as you know, we like your estate agency, and of course, we know that you work very well on properties and support very well the clients and the Scandinavian market. Would you like to say some last words, please?
Yeah, I would like to say to everyone that there's still no danger to buy properties here in Spain, even though to the co-buy. We will help you. He is the real estate agent, and you guys as the lawyers.
Okay, well, thank you, Gustav. Thank you for joining us. And Karen, well, as I said, well, thank you for joining us. Thank you for presenting your company. Currency Direct is a very well experienced company in Spain in order for currency and exchange rate. And would you like to say something, recommendation, something like just to finalize?
Yeah. We've been very busy with people buying and selling, even under the COVID situation, and we're expecting to be really, really busy next year. I think it's important that people have the right advice. Open a trading account with us. If you never need to use it, that's absolutely fine. There's no obligation. It's free to open an account, but it enables you to be in a position where we can advise you and guide you with regards to moving currency in and out of euros. So we look forward to hearing from everybody.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you for joining us, and thank you for these words. And Elena, again, I mean, of course, saying that just to finalize a brief recommendations of when someone is buying a property in Spain, what to do.
Well, my recommendations would be first, of course, to have a real estate agent that you trust, to have a really good lawyer that can advise you on everything that you need, not just when you're purchasing a property, but also afterwards, like Michael and Ignacio has been explaining. And also I've worked with Karen several times, and it's really important also to have that company that you can trust and you trust your money with as well. It's really important to have professionals to work with. When you don't know the answers yourself, you need someone that you can trust and ask.
Thank you. I love that word. Thank you very much, Elena, for joining us.
Thank you.
And okay, well, Michael and Ignacio, just a few, to conclude a conclusion, a few words in order to say
my last
recommendation buying a property. Michael.
Okay, well, my last word would be that if you wish to buy a property in Spain, you can rest assured that it is possible to buy with 100% safety. You just need to use a good solicitor, In our case, if you chose us, we are in Andalusia, Almeria, Majaca, and Marbella. And we'd be very happy to help you with a conveyancing. If you need help with inheritance anywhere in Spain, then my name's Michael Davies, and that's what I deal with. And thank you very much for inviting us today. Thank you.
Okay, well, thank you. I mean, all of you can enter in the chat. Yeah, so of course, your contact details, the email and the webpage, even though we will do it in a few minutes. And Ignacio, what would you recommend as a last word?
Okay, I think everything is being very well explained by all the panelists. Buying a property in Spain is safe. Even as Gustav said, with COVID, we've been having a lot of transactions. Michael as well just told me that they've been very busy and currency. So this is possible. Very important advice, and I wish you will always make it. Just choose a good independent lawyer. Will save you problems in life. Well, basically, with regards to the other question that you, Michael, explained or asked me before about the non-European country, I just checked with my accountant, and he just said, yes, we could use the same allowances as well. There is some doctrine on that you could use, but you need to comply with these specific requirements of living 2 years in one place, reinvesting within the 2 years, etc., etc. So again, well, thank you everybody for joining, and it was a pleasure to be with you. And over to you, Pedro.
Okay, well, thank you for everyone thank you for all of you, of course, and thank you for everyone who is watching us, has been watching us, and will be watching us in the future, in the following days, in the weekend. And of course, this webinar is helpful, but of course, in order to give you an accurate advice, I will recommend you to contact the different companies, 𝐸𝐵𝐻𝐻 as a real estate agent, 𝐸𝐶𝐵 Direct as a exchange rate company, and Michael Davies as a lawyer in Andalusia, and Pellicer Heredia law firm in Costa Blanca area. Okay, well, thank you. Let's finalize with a video of Spain, which we love and we like. Is in English, and it's extremely good. Thank you, and we'll see you next week.
You can't stop thinking about it. That hidden cove, just for you. That little hideaway in the mountains. Or that beautiful postcard town. Dreaming about enjoying the fresh air again. Feeling the sun on your skin. Exploring. Walking. Traveler, there is no path. Paths are made by walking. Never stop dreaming. Spain will wait.